Micah on the mend. Yesterday, the Packers star talking about his recovery from ACL surgery. He's on the physically unable to perform list right now. He'll likely remain there to start the season. He says a return against the Cowboys in Week 6 is what's realistic. And right now, his focus is just being back and better than ever when he returns.
People are worried about the knee. They should be worried about how I'm going to play when I get back. The anger, the frustration, the things that I'm going to have to let out because, you know, how long it's been since I played. So I think that's what people should really worry about, like, how great is Micah going to be when he gets back, not about when I get back, because that's the short term.
You got to love the mentality, right? You got to love the guy sitting there saying, what, am I worried? No, they should all be worried about what I'm going to be when I get back.
Yeah, he says, you know who I am. You know what I bring to the table when I'm healthy. And when I get back, it'll be more of the same. Now, obviously, there's going to be a lot of other things that he has to kind of like acclimate himself to as far as getting him back to what he used to be. But look, Micah has been a dominant football player his entire life. We all know this. We all marvel at the kind of speed, the kind of power, the kind of athletic ability that he has, the pass rush moves he's developed. And look, this was a guy who really wasn't even an edge rusher by trade, until, the latter part of his college career. And you see what he's doing now. So, yeah, he's telling you, just wait. I'll be back.
So what does the schedule say, Jeff Darlington? That's what I want to talk about. He's going to start the season on PUP. He's going to have to work his way back. What does the schedule tell us about Green Bay and them trying to stay afloat until he returns?
So something Lewis just said there, just wait. The question is, do they have time to wait?
Right.
And that's the biggest thing. How can they get through these first, say, 6 games? Take a look at the schedule. Right now, if we eye it, December 29th is when he had the surgery. 9 months from then, exactly, would be September 29th. Now, that's a few weeks before that Cowboys game. Week 6 is October 18th. So it does make sense that he would be starting the season on primetime against his former team. It sets up perfectly. If they can just be around 500 at that point, this is no issue at all. The question is, can they get out fast enough without Parsons to keep themselves in contention?
Gerald, there are a very select few players in the league that when they suffer an injury, you say that's quarterback level, right? That's quarterback magnitude. Usually the biggest fear for any team is to lose a quarterback. Candidly, this guy is one of a small handful that his injury is just as significant as anybody else, right?
Yeah, for sure. Lewis said we marvel at what he can do, but I'm going to go to the flip side. I'm going to go to D.C.
Yeah.
He's an alien.
Okay.
He's like, he's from Krypton. When we look at Superman, he's like, oh, well, why is he not normal? Because he's not from Earth. That's who Micah Parsons is. Can he get back? Yes. We've seen Adrian Peterson do it. He was a running back, and he got back in 9 months. And you see what he did. He won MVP. Some people come through the league where we produce demigods in the NFL. And he's one of them. He can get back, and Micah can play at a top level, and the league should be in trouble.
I just was interested in reading your notes as one who played on the defensive line. What makes him so special? You were saying you've never seen anyone get off the ball faster than he does.
No, it's his explosiveness off the ball. The way he can go from standstill to be 5 yards upfield like that, we've seen good get-offs, but there's a difference in the way Micah can do it. We've never seen nothing like that.
I remember going down to the Pass Rush Summit once. Chuck Smith invited me down there, and they had DeMarcus Ware down there, Von Miller, and that's the only thing that was the number one thing that they talked about, as you know. And you look, Von, DeMarcus Ware, these guys, they go 0 to 100 like a Ferrari. I mean, it's out the gate. Yeah, that's what he can do. That's why he's so special. That's why this dude was pretty special, too.
Final word.
It makes me nervous when you guys talk about his explosiveness being his best asset. How quickly can he recover? I'm not saying he'll obviously recover, but how quickly can he
That's
do
the question is when he comes back this year, is he Micah Parsons again, or does it take a little extra time? It's one thing for him to be healthy enough to play. It's another thing, is he healthy enough to be Micah Parsons again? We won't know till we see it, or do you expect that not to be a problem?
Yeah, once he get out there, it's going to take an acclimation period, probably a game, maybe 2, but once he gets it.
All right, if it's only a game or two, then I think.
What's the best cookie?
But
we'll just get to that.
We'll do another one.
Yeah.
Let me get to the next bend but don't break. Gerald, will C.J. Stroud's struggles bend or break the Texans this year?
Oh, it'll break them. C.J. Stroud can possibly waste the Super Bowl defense. If we see what this defense did last year and what we plan for them to do this year, they just a quarterback away. C.J. Stroud is going to be so important to this team. If he struggles, they will break.
Yeah, if he does. We're looking in the rearview mirror with C.J. Stroud. I believe in this dude. I believe C.J. knows what's up. We talked about this the other day, right? I mean, I think J-Mac was talking about this too. The fact that if I'm C.J. right now, I kind of want to hold on. I want to take the Baker Mayfield approach to my contract right now and say, hey, look, we don't need to talk about anything. I'm locked in on this season because after this, when 2027 rolls around, you're going to pay me. I think he's going to have a hell of a year. Remember, he had one of the best rookie seasons in the history of the National Football League a couple of years ago. He hasn't forgotten how to play. I think he's going to be just fine.
Think about those two statements. You just said that if they don't get a quarterback wrong with this defense, they'll win. About a quarterback.
But you know what? He had a pretty darn good regular season. It was the playoff that messed him up.
You can't argue with how bad.
No,
I mean,
those
he
are
was
both,
so bad.
Those are both true statements.
Right.
But that is fascinating that we're at that point with the Texans.
It is. I mean, I think there are a lot of people who really have questions. I hope you.
I believe in him.
I love him too. I mean, there's nothing about him. If you meet him before the draft, nothing about him not to like.
Yep.
But the question, I mean, the game against Pittsburgh and then the game in New England
They were ugly.
Alarming.
Yeah, they were ugly.
All right, the last one, I want to show you the Bears' schedule. Last year, the Bears win the division. Now they have the 10th hardest schedule in the league, according to our analytics. Outside of a very tough division, they play both Super Bowl teams in back-to-back weeks. They go to Buffalo week 15. So, Gerald McCoy, will the Bears' first-place schedule bend or break their season?
I'll say it's going to bend, but it won't break them because this team is resilient, this team is tough, and I believe that Caleb Williams with Ben Johnson, that partnership is going to carry them through. It's going to be a struggle. They'll bend, but they won't break.
They had the bad injury, right? Kobe Bryant got hurt. We talked about it yesterday. It's a bad loss for a player they acquired to try and make that defense a lot better than it was a year ago.
Yeah, it was a team that really did turn the football over well. They coached it up. The guys executed. You're right. That's the side of the ball that doesn't have a whole lot of margin for error. That they need to. And really, before we even get to the secondary, the pass rush, right? That's what we always talk about with every football team. That's the one area of contention with this team. Do they have enough of it? They'll be fine offensively. As Gerald has talked about and we've all talked about, they're going to play a much tougher schedule. The North is a fun division to watch.
Are you kidding?
It's a
amazing.
fun division to watch.
But also, by the way, Caleb can't just expect to do the magical things that he did every single game.
No.
You know what? And I don't think he has to.
No.
He's got to get his completion percentage up, and he's got to rely on getting some big wins against some big teams.
Let me say, I have two words that I think could solve at least part of the Bears' problems. The first one is Max, and the second one is Crosby.
Yeah, there you go.
And we've talked about this. Max Crosby, it still makes sense to me for the Raiders to trade him. That is not disrespecting him. It is respecting him. That you talked about the Browns earlier.
Yeah.
They're starting over a bunch of young players. The Raiders are the same thing. Starting over, young new coach, young new quarterback. Hopefully they build things the right way and they make things a lot better. They're not winning a championship this year. It would make sense to me for them still to consider trading him, and the Bears would make sense to me as a team that should be interested.
Well, and you can't convince me that once a team is willing to trade a player a few months ago, that no longer is that on the table at all. It's a matter of compensation, and it's a matter of the injury report. The injury situation was very real with Baltimore, and there were other people who looked at that evaluation and got scared away. Chicago Bears were not one of those teams.
Look, I think Ryan Poles, you got to give him a lot of credit for the way in which he has kind of acquired talent for this football team. Look, he knows he's a former offensive lineman. He knows how important pass rush is. I promise you, he's probably like shaking those trees going, is there a way I can get a dude in here, especially up front? I'm sure he's called John Spytek a few times.
And they feel like they can. They feel like he's that mature a player and that he can handle all that. But you look elsewhere on the defense, they have another first-round pick from this year, Malachi Lawrence, who they're going to be expecting big things from. Jayshawn Barham, the linebacker, third-rounder from Michigan. They're very excited about what he's done so far in camp. Even at corner where they're sorting through things, they have a guy, Siobhan Revel, that they took in the third round last year, didn't play because he was hurt. So really a young first-time defensive coordinator in Christian Parker, who's going to be counting on a lot of young players in key roles.
So I think that is very interesting. Let me bring that to you, Gerald McCoy. These are talented players, but they're so young, and so many of them. Can you put together an effective defense with that many young guys?
Yeah, you can because of two players, Kenny Clark and Quentin Williams.
Okay.
When you got a two-headed monster in the middle at D-tackle, everything goes off them. It makes the edges better. It makes the linebackers better. It makes the secondary better. You can't run the ball with those two guys in the middle. Quarterback's worst enemy is pressure up the middle, and you got 2 all-pro guys in the middle. Just having those 2 is going to completely change this defense.
He said yesterday he thinks they have the best D-tackle combination in the entire NFL with those 2. And I know you believe, and our friend Mel Kiper believes, Caleb Downs may have been the best player in last year's draft.
Yeah, look, the reason why, you have some concern about, them making the huge jump, let's just say that they can just be middle of the pack, is because the guys who are at the command and control center, and I know exactly, what Gerald is talking about. Look, up front, they're stout. Right down the middle, you're not going to be able to just gut them right down the middle. It's the communication piece on the second and third level. Like Caleb, he's probably going to be able to handle it. He handled it at Ohio State. Matt Patricia's defense is as hard as any defense in the NFL as far as the volume and this kind of responsibility that you have. If Caleb can hold it down, literally, DeMarvion Overshown comes back, Jayshon Barham is going to play some off-ball linebacker. If those young cats right there can handle it mentally, look out. Look out. If they can stay on the same page and not hurt themselves, look out.
Caleb Downs, I was in Dallas for the draft. I've never seen a team more excited about a prospect. Yeah. And that's coming from a land where everybody's always excited about their prospects. Yeah. But someone there said, when we were doing our research, Caleb Downs was the guy. If you would ask anybody who's going to be a Hall of Fame player at the end of their career, that was the guy.
Well, what's interesting is, like, I was at Ohio State's pro day, right? And so Caleb was there. I got to talk to him. Sonny Styles was there. Carnell Tate was there. They were all
defense got
exactly, basically. So they're all standing there. Arvell Reese is standing there. And what you notice when these kids are looking at you, you're going, how the hell did they lose a game? Ever. Not just because of the way that they looked, but it's just the way how attentive they were, how much information you could tell they were downloading everything you were saying. And that's what they talk about with Caleb. That's why I think he is the one who makes it go.
How about the offense, Dan? The defense obviously was the question mark and the weakness last year, and they'll need to work their way up from that. But they will be counting on that offense being just as good, if not better, second year in this, whatever it is, the new wrinkles that Brian Schottenheimer put on it last season. Dak spectacular, the 2 wide receivers. How about the offense?
Yeah, I mean, I think Arrow up there, they feel really good about it. Ryan Flanoy is a player they like as their 3rd wide receiver. They're hoping that Jaden Blue, who was a draft pick last year, running back, didn't do much. They think he might be taking a step where he can give them a little juice in the run game, augmenting what they get from Javonte Williams. Tyler Guyton seems locked in at the left tackle spot. Seemed like they were trying to have a competition there, but it never came together. So if you ask Brian Schottenheimer, as I have, what do you need to see improvement from on the offensive side of the ball? He would say he'd like to get a little bit better tackle play this year, but they feel like what those guys have shown so far in the offseason, they have a chance to get that.
All right, so I asked you a question earlier this morning, G-Mac. Was the AFC East whose division is it? I'm asking you now. Is it the Eagles division or the Cowboys division this year, in your opinion, in the NFC?
It's the Cowboys division to lose, simply because Philly won it last year.
Yeah.
It's because they knew how to win games, and they were collectively a better defense, for sure. The offense was so shaky, but the Cowboys had a dynamic offense, but they couldn't stop nobody. Well, now they have the pieces in place to where they can actually have a good defense, even if it's middle of the pack. With this offense, it's their division to lose.
I agree. I have felt that way.
He gets Cowboys division to lose.
I do. I think they will take it.
Everything about this offseason for the Cowboys has been, like, unorthodox. The amount of lack of drama that they've had. George Pickens, by the way, is also going to be playing for money.
Right.
And that is going to make him a beast. I think the Cowboys are the clear favorites in the division.
So Dan, again, was with them in Oxnard yesterday. Dan, today you were in Santa Clara. You're going to go see the 49ers, and I would just caution you to be very careful every step you take. Because guys are just dropping like flies there. What is your sense? What are you looking forward to finding out there, and what is your sense of this team that has already suffered an unimaginable list of injuries?
Well, I appreciate your concern. My day is less physically taxing than that of the players that are practicing football. So I think I should be okay, but I will be extra careful going over there. Look, I mean, they're banged up at the wide receiver position. There's no question about it. Deebo Samuel comes in. They were thinking, if they got him, he'd be a auxiliary piece, but he may have to catch a lot of balls in these practices. We don't know when we're going to see George Kittle, the tight end. If he's absent, that hurts the passing game and the run game. And you look at all these wide receivers that are sidelined with soft tissue injuries. Mike Evans, obviously Ricky Pearsall, he's out for the year, but Christian Kirk. So the soft tissue stuff, the calf, the quad, hamstring, it's tough to predict recoveries from those things. It drives coaches crazy this time of year. But the fact that there's so many of them at that one position is alarming, especially for a team we've seen in recent years. Like last year, they overcame their injuries, made the playoffs. And plenty of 49er seasons under Kyle Shanahan where they had injury problems and didn't overcome them.
That was 15 names, and it's
An
August 5th.
unbelievable list.
Yeah.
That's an unbelievable list. The number one position as a front office that you fret about as far as injuries and not having enough bodies that can just cripple your football team is wide receiver.
Yeah.
That's the one that can shut down everything you're trying to do when you just don't have the bodies because of how much running they do.
All right, Dan.